wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
He's back.
He's back. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome, brother.
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Good to see you brothers again.
Peace, King. How are you feeling today?
I'm all right.
You see, we got you on the wall over there, brother. You ain't even see
it. You don't even see yourself right there.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes.
Oh, man. Good looking out.
You on the wall. You on the wall.
Good looking out. All right.
How does Dr. Umar feel about being the black boogeyman for interracial relationships?
It's good and it's bad.
Okay.
The good side is I hear from a lot of brothers who have gave up the bunny hopping. They send me messages, inbox. They stop me at the airport. So I do see the positive effect. You know, brother, I'm with a queen now. I see the difference. If I never listened to you, I would have never really evaluated my behavior. That's the good side.
Got you.
The not so good side is I also get the hate mail from brothers who are committed to the bunny hopping.
Got you.
Right? And they can be very aggressive in their repudiation of my position. I was at the airport coming from Atlanta last week, and I don't know what they be expecting, but when I see a brother with his snow bunny at the airport, it's almost as if they expect me to approach them or something. Like we going through security, and the brother with the white girl, and they looking at me like they waiting for me to swing on them or something. I'm like, bro, it ain't that deep, man. Your life is your life. I still respect you as a human being. Word. I just don't think your selection is in the best interest of where black people need to be headed. That's all. But when I see them interracial couples, man, they look like they getting ready for war or something.
Yeah, I mean, because the things you say, they don't know what you're gonna say, what's gonna come out your mouth, if you're gonna grunt, or if you're gonna say something. So they gotta prepare themselves.
Right, but see, the essence of the message is still love, though. So even if I disagree with what you're doing, we still family at some level, and she's still a human being regardless. So, you know, sometimes they'll come up to me as a couple, and I'll speak to them as a couple. And they may say, well, can you explain why you don't really agree with what we're doing? And I'll do it in a very respectful tone. And I've never had an issue when we had those conversations. Right. So from where my perspective is, I'm like, yeah, I'm strong in my position, but I'm still leading with love. Right. So nobody should ever feel some type of way about seeing me in public, although they do.
I told you I was all the way in Zanzibar. I sent you the video, Dr. Umar. I was in Zanzibar, and a brother from Zanzibar was talking to me, and he was saying how much he liked a lot of the things Dr. Umar said, but he was like, I just don't understand his position on the snow bunnies.
It's a contradiction about how you cut the cake, because those children who are going to be black, how can you tell them be black and proud if you didn't make them with a black woman? You chose to incubate your seed in a non-African woman. How can you then turn around and raise those children to be black and proud when if you were black and proud, you would have chose a black woman to incubate your seed in? It doesn't make sense for the descendant of the slave to be planting his seed in the descendant of the slave master. Now, it's a complete contradiction.
What are your views? Has your views changed on mixed people, right? Because, you know, people will say even if you have a drop of black blood in you, you're black.
I do the one parent rule. Okay. So for me, if one of your parents are black, you're black. Okay. Take Drake. If he identifies as black full time, he black. And that's never been an issue for us within the Pan-African movement going back to the beginning of time. We've never rejected the offspring of the union because nobody's responsible for how they got here. And so that's why Bob Marley, there's no contradiction for us. A lot of our ancestors were mixed race. Frederick Douglass, who I'm related to, it's no contradiction because you don't choose how you come into this world, but you still have the DNA of Africa within you. But you got to identify full time. That's where it becomes an issue with our Dominican Republic brothers and sisters, Puerto Rican Africans, Cuban Africans, because sometimes they will either completely reject the African ancestry, right? Or they may say, I do have African ancestry, but I don't identify as Latino African. I'm Spanish. You see what I'm saying? Or you look at what goes on between the Dominican Republic and Haiti, that whole intense light skin, dark skin, I'm African, you ain't African type of situation. We repudiate all that. You either black all the time or you black none of the time.
You know, people think because you have such a love for black people that for whatever reason that translates to hate for white folks.
Absolutely not, because if that were true, why do I get so many requests for help from white parents?
That's right.
Why do I get so many requests for help from Asian parents, Arab parents? They don't have a problem texting my phone saying, hey, can I pay this consultation? I need you to look at my child's psychological evaluation. I never get apprehension from white parents when they need my help on special education or mental health cases. You see what I'm saying? Right. So if it were that bad, I would assume they would not be reaching out to me. Mm-hmm. They have no issue reaching out to me. And they don't go through a filter. They come direct. Even the snow bunnies. Listen, I know how you feel about that. I need help with my son. He's a white boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. Will you help us? Pay the fee, I got you.
And if you hated them, you wouldn't offer the help.
Why would I help them at all? You see what I'm saying? And some of them buy my book too. They say, hey, I know your book is towards black families, but the information in there, we can use it too.
Do white parents ever call you and say, hey, my white son or my white daughter is into this black boy or black girl, and we want to erase them from there? Do they ever call you for that?
No, I get the opposite. I'll get the black mother who would say, Dr. Umar, my son is bunny hopping, and it looks like he has a point of no return. Can you help me out? That's what I get.
Do you have a camp? Because that'd be cool. You put them
I need a camp. I need a camp. That's a good idea, though.
So what they do call
bunny hopping recovery camp. Bunny Hoppers Anonymous camp. I need a camp. That's not a bad idea. That is a very good idea. You just gave me an idea.
Man. So when they do call you, how do you break it down?
Oh, my God. They be upset. Like, Dr. Umar, you taking a white girl to the prom. And I thought that was it. No. She's living with him in his dorm. No. They're about to move in together. No. She's pregnant now. What can I do? Dang. And the first thing I say to the black mother is, are you sure you did not model love or addiction to whiteness before your son? Because many of these mothers who have an issue with their son with the white girl got blonde hair, blonde weave. You see what I'm saying? The green contacts. Like, I'm looking at how you present yourself. You look like you're trying to be a white girl. So if the mother is imitating whiteness, why wouldn't the son be attracted to it? Because your first love affair is with your mother, not sexually, psychosocially. So therefore, if I see my mother imitating white women, are you not indirectly through your behavior suggesting that I date white females? So I think a lot of black mothers have to really check themselves with regard to how they're modeling the fact that they believe within themselves as a woman that white women are more attractive.
Man, I want to ask you something Columbus Short said since we're talking about that. Sure. He said he got some heat for saying that black men are dating outside their race because most black women are raised by single mothers and absentee fathers and taught a don't need a man mentality. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's what I would say to my brother Columbus Short, and I'm a fan of his. Are we not all victims of the systemic oppression and injustice that racism has introduced into our community? So just as you have black women who didn't grow up with their father, you have black men who didn't grow up with their fathers or their mothers. In other words, why is it acceptable for the black man raised by a black woman without his dad to reject a black woman raised by her mother without her dad? I think sometimes black men can be guilty of a double standard where we want a perfect offering when we ourselves are not a perfect offering. And to that point, I think black men need to recognize the fact that one of the reasons we have so much conflict with black women is because we don't operate on a masculine platform with our women all the time. We tend to operate on a female platform. For example, when a woman gets angry, rather than you trying to understand your queen non-emotionally. See, you can't have both people in a relationship with a low emotional IQ. Because if both people in a home, if you and your wife both have a low emotional IQ, if you and your wife both have a low emotional IQ, y'all gonna argue over everything because nobody says, I am not gonna emote over this. I'm not gonna deal with this with feelings. I'm gonna use reason and intelligence. That's what the man is supposed to do. Yeah. But guess what we do? Raised by single mothers, many of us, we reflect right back to them that emotional trauma that they throwing on us. So in essence, you have two females arguing, although one is in a man's body. Black men have to start being masculine and less feminine. All this cattiness, this back and forth between black men and black women on the internet, that is feminine and feminine. Masculinity don't operate like that. Masculinity wants to understand where the woman is coming from. Masculinity wants to then intervene, study himself, evaluate his behavior, and try to level up to where she needs him to be. But arguing back and forth with women as a man, that's anti-masculine behavior. What we really need is some testosterone shots. We need more testosterone because black men are mimicking female behavior emotionally, and they're not even recognizing it.
I know a lot of women who have high emotional IQs who don't get caught up in the petty back and forth.
Yes, sir.
Either.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But normally, more often than not, it's supposed to be the male. Sometimes the woman does have that, which is good, but that also speaks to the fact that the women are becoming more masculinized and the men are becoming more effeminized, not in terms of sexuality, but in terms of personality, the way that we are engaging each other. And the back and forth male-female thing, if we want to get real basic about it, you're dealing with two traumatized people who have not healed themselves, and now they're trying to make a healthy relationship. Two unhappy people cannot make a healthy relationship. It is impossible. You cannot get water from oil. You can't get oil from water. If she's traumatized because her father abandoned her and he's traumatized because his mother chose her second husband over him, you got to deal with those unmet childhood issues. Most of us are still dealing with unmet childhood issues, and we're given the responsibility to our partner to heal us from demons that can only be healed with our parents. My wife can't undo what my mama did. I got to work with my mama. Your husband can't undo what your daddy did. You got to work with your husband, but because we don't want to go back into the pain, because we've often eliminated those people from our lives, we just say, you know what, I'm going to have to work on this with my husband. I'm going to have to work on this with my wife. They can be a support for you, but they can't be the solution. Ooh. We have too many spiritual vampires floating around the black community. These are emotionally toxic people who don't present themselves as they are to the opposite sex. They present their social self, their psychological mask, and you don't realize who they really are, Envy and Charlamagne, until somebody gets pregnant, y'all move in together, get married, or get engaged. The whole time y'all were dating, it was perfect. You say, I've been dating my queen for 10 years. We never had an issue. Get married, divorced in 6 months. You know why? Because once y'all moved in that house together, your ego no longer wants to lie to her, Envy. Your ego no longer wants to lie to her, Charlamagne, and her ego doesn't want to lie to you. So now you start seeing things that you never saw 10, 20 years when y'all were dating, because in close proximity, the ego drops its mask.
Damn. Dr. Umar ain't playing today. Yeah. Let's get to it. There's a lot of things to talk about. Do you think President Biden should step down?
Do I think President Biden should step down? I got a couple answers to that. On the one end, presidents don't make the final decisions anyway. So because they are puppets, it really wouldn't matter if he stepped down or not. However, from an optics perspective, his showing against Donald Trump in that debate didn't look good at all, even though they only 3 years apart, right? On the flip side, I'm not too sure the Democratic Party is ready to anoint Kamala Harris as quote-unquote commander-in-chief, because as you know, in the post-Barack Obama era, the last thing poor white America wants to see is another black person as commander-in-chief. So I don't think they necessarily want to go that route. They don't have to. There's others as well. But at the end of the day, both men are extremely up there in age, because I don't want to be a senior shamer, if you would, right? Because seniors are just as capable intellectually, many of them, as those of us in our age bracket. At the same time, they're still the two oldest men to ever run and rerun for president of the United States. But you know what? Doesn't that also speak to the weaknesses in both parties?
That's right.
If Joe Biden is the best the Democratic National Committee has, if Donald Trump is the best the Republican National Committee has, what is that saying about the talent y'all incubating?
That's right.
So what do you think about, blacks loving Donald Trump so much, shaking his hand, kissing his hand, rubbing his back, saying we support him? What do you think about that?
Slave master syndrome, white Jesus syndrome. We don't care if the white Jesus wears red or blue. We don't care what side of the aisle that they're on. Black America suffers from battered spouse syndrome, Envy. And what battered spouse syndrome speaks to is the fact that no matter how bad you beat me up, if I believe I need you in order to survive, I'm never going anywhere. And part of our problem, part of the equation to our problem as American Africans, why we don't do anything on our own, is we are often waiting for the great white savior to come. This is a message that has been rehearsed for us in church. We get it in the media. We get it in the black community. So black people will never, ever abandon their hope of a white savior coming to save them. Donald Trump has no record whatsoever of saving black folks. When people ask me, who you going to vote for? At this point, neither one of them are going to get my vote. I considered Cornel West because I love Dr. West. Intelligent, strong, good-natured, but he's a bunny hopper, so he can't get my vote. Now, when I come back to Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I look at the fact that Donald Trump signed 13 federal death executions while he was president. More than half of them was signed after Joe Biden won the election. Think about that now. Biden gets elected in November, sworn in January. Between that time, Donald Trump executes half of those 13 people. 5 of them were black men, and 2 of those black men were presumed innocent, and their attorneys had introduced a stay of execution to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court turned them down, and Donald Trump executed those brothers. So when I hear black men say, I'm voting for Donald Trump because he's going to bring more money and economic vitality into the black community, I say, what about the fact that he's out here killing black folks, you understand, without no remorse at all? Signing those type of federal death warrants. 2 brothers was murdered within 24 hours of each other. One of them was 40 years old, and he was the first person to be murdered in 70 years for a crime he committed as a teenager. And in one of those cases, about 6 of the jurors said they would have changed their decision on the death sentence had they knew the information that the prosecution had withheld from them. That's why the attorney wanted the stay of execution to give the defense time to reformulate an argument. In Supreme Court, Snow Bunny, Clarence Thomas and that crew said no, and Donald Trump signed his life away. So you got to look at that. You also got to look at the fact that Donald Trump wants to give police 100% immunity.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Look how they killing us now. Right. So now you're telling me that anything the police do in their line of duty, they cannot be held accountable for making bad mistakes and bad decisions, and you want to put that back in office? That's thirsty black men worry more about money than the lives of their people.
That's right. The Supreme Court is corrupt. Yes. Illegitimate.
Absolutely.
How come enough people not talking about that?
Because I don't think they understand the tripartite nature of American so-called democracy. The Supreme Court, the president, and the Congress, they actually have equal weight, right? Well, they did. But now what the Supreme Court just did was they gave the president a few days ago absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for decisions made in office and carrying out his constitutionally protected duties. That's very dangerous, because what that says is the president can never go to jail even if he commits genocide if it was done in an act of office. So let's say hypothetically Donald Trump or Joe Biden sends the National Guard into New York to quell a black protest, and the National Guard, God forbid, ends up executing 5,000 of our brothers and sisters who were protesting peacefully. Even though it was ordered by the president of the United States, he cannot be held accountable for that. Why? Because he did it in discharging his duties as commander-in-chief. So we don't no longer have a president. We have an emperor. We have a czar. We have a king. Because what the Supreme Court just did is said the president is beyond reproach and the president is beyond the reach of the law. Dangerous.
Yeah, and I feel like enough people aren't having that conversation.
They're not having that conversation.
It's weird to me. Like, I understand, talking about Biden and his bad debate performance. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I even understand talking about Project 2025, even though it's a hypothetical. But this is happening now.
Yes.
And nobody's having the conversation.
And for black folks, it don't matter if it's Trump or Biden. The bottom line is the president of the United States, none of whom have ever been friends of the black community, will have the ability to do what they want as long as it takes place within the execution of duty. They cannot be held criminally liable. Now, here's my thing. I wonder what are the repercussions of that on the world court when you're dealing with genocide in the Geneva Convention. So are you saying that the president of the United States cannot be held criminally responsible for crimes of genocide against humanity? That goes against the whole Geneva Convention. So I'm wondering what the UN and what the world court has to say about the Supreme Court's decision.
What are your thoughts on Donald Trump currently, and in particular the agenda that is Project 2025?
The Project 2025 reminds me a lot. Remember the Newt Gingrich contract on America back at the turn of the century? It kind of reminds me of that. It is very dangerous, but when I look at Project 2025, a lot of it is already being carried out. You follow? So they want to eliminate the Department of Education. I think we talked about this probably my first visit to the Breakfast Club, where I spoke of how the U.S. Constitution does not give your child a right to an education. The word education is not in the Constitution. But many people feel like educational taxes or their taxes that go to education is too burdensome and cumbersome. And they're saying, why do I have to pay school tax when the Constitution doesn't even give nobody a right to get an education in the first place? So why am I paying for this? So a lot of people want to phase that out. Remember, when you go to white America, half of white America either don't have school-age children or don't send them to public school anyway. So they want to completely blot out the school tax. Not only that, the money that still remains, they want to redirect it to not charter schools, to private schools and parochial schools, which to my understanding is a violation of the separation of church and state. How can you get public money to the Catholic school? But that's what they want to do. They also want to shut down Social Security. They also want to completely eliminate all diversity, equity, and inclusion laws and bills. But I got to say this, though, because the Democrats are pretty hypocritical, Because when you look at what Governor DeSantis is doing in Florida, and when you look at the fact that you got 18 states that have already passed laws to eliminate all diversity, equity, and inclusion program, that's a third, right? Why aren't the Democrats pushing back against it? President Biden was reportedly stated that he will not push back against the Republican effort to eliminate all DEI programs. So doesn't that make you complicit in the removal of the DEI? See, what the Democrats do that black people tend not to catch on is they'll let the Republicans play the bad guy.
That's right.
Because they can't afford to lose the black vote. So although we don't support DEI ourselves, we're not going to be the ones to front this. We're going to let DeSantis and the other mavericks go out and do this. But guess what? We're not going to push back against it so it looks like it wasn't us. It was you, because silence in the face of injustice is complicity. And that's why, as far as I'm concerned, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are two wings on the same bird. And the one question we never have: when are we going to organize the black vote before we vote?
That's right.
If you notice, everybody tells us to vote. The politicians, black businesses, the fraternities, the churches, vote, vote, vote. The Urban League, the NAACP, Congressional Black Caucus, vote, vote, vote. Why do you think nobody never says organize the black vote before you vote? So we vote as a block. So politicians know we're doing this as a people. You know why? If we voted as a block, Envy, we could hold people accountable. See, if I vote as a block, I can hold Eric Adams accountable. I can hold Brandon Johnson accountable. I can hold Kamala Harris accountable, because she know we went to the polls as a people, united in oneness. But when you vote as individuals, schizophrenic, disorganized black votes, who you gonna hold accountable, Envy? The mayor could do what he want. You voted alone. You didn't link your vote with nobody. What can you do to me? You say you go to Joe Biden. What you gonna do about police genocide? What can you do to me? You voted by yourself. If you notice, political power is all about mass organization. If you're not organized, your vote only matters to the person you're electing. It'll never matter to us.
Why don't you think we have organization? I was watching, I can't remember, I think it was maybe Godfrey. Godfrey was talking about we just can't organize, even as organized crime. Like there's the Russian mafia, there's the Chinese mafia, there's the Irish mafia, there's the Italian mob, but we can't organize together. Why do you think that is? Legally and illegally.
Yes, you're absolutely right. To your issue with crime, take the Italian mafia back in their heyday. No women, no children, no elders. If you kill one, even by accident, we take your life. That was the rule. But in the black community, you can hit the elders, hit the kids, hit the pregnant women, no rules, no consequences. Self-hatred, petty differences, and the indoctrination of white supremacy, meaning most black people feel the only people they need to be accountable to are whites. They can never answer to a black person. This is why if you talk to any black supervisor or black manager, they'll tell you they get more hell from their black employees than their white ones. Because whenever we see black authority, we rebel against it because we've been trained to believe that black people are worthless. And if you yourself is worthless, how much more worthless will be your authority over me? Until we do something about the collective self-hate of African people, we will never change anything else. It is the psychological crutch of self-hate that keeps us where we are. We are $2 trillion people. Why are we waiting for reparations? Don't get me wrong. We're entitled to reparations. But why are we waiting on them with that type of money? It makes no sense. It's because we do not believe in working together. We would rather wait on white supremacy to change itself before we change ourselves.
I don't know if we can ever reverse the self-hate that we have for each other.
We can, but you got to start with the children. Here's the problem. We're raising the children the same way we were raised. You see that? I look at the way somebody just sent me the video the other day of 3 girls stomping out this crossing guard. I mean, stomping her out, tried to kill her. I don't know what happened. Tried to kill her, right? Where did the children get that? Where do they get this thing to self-destruct, crash out on each other? They're taught it in their homes. And this is why when I first conceptualized the FDMG Academy, I said I want a residential school. I don't want them to come home. You know why? Because I know the sickness is in the home. This is not in your DNA. It's passed down intergenerationally from grandparent to parent, from parent to child. So if we want a new mindset, if we want a new consciousness, if we want a new program or platform, you have to train the children. There's an African proverb that says, whenever a new black baby is born, that's a message from God that he hasn't given up on African people yet. But until we start doing something with the children differently than what was done with us, nothing will ever change. It starts with the next generation.
I see you, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy.
Yes, sir.
I see you in the building all the time.
Yes, sir. And they still saying where the school at.
Yeah, they still saying where the school at. Everybody knows where the school
is.
Yes,
sir. You can't miss it.
You just was asking for something. What was you just asking for?
somebody to help us with the floors.
With the floors, yeah.
We got. So last time I was here, remember, I was still struggling with the HVAC. Remember that? So the HVAC is done, plumbing is done, all the systems repaired. Now it's superficials. We got to get the doors done. We got some doors that got to be replaced. We got another layer of paint, so we're going to do one more paint day. And then we got 11 floors where we took the old rugs out. We got to cover them up, right? So, in fact, coming here, one of the good sisters Sister Jennifer out of Trenton, shout out to her and her husband, she has an uncle who does floors. So I'm going to meet with him this weekend and see what type of price he can give. I also met with some other brothers who do floors, and the prices wasn't too bad. You know what I mean? So once we do that last layer of coat and do them floors, we applying for the certificate of occupancy.
You think that's going to be hard to get?
It could be, because in talking with some of the businesses in the neighborhood, they're telling me that they've had to wait months before the city came out to do their inspection. This is what they saying. I don't know if it's true. They say, Doc, you might got to wait a minute, and because you are who you are, they might try to nitpick you too. So I'm just going to, hope for the best. You know what I mean? But cautiously understand that because they never thought we would finish, this could be a little bit of a push. I just hope it don't get to the point where I got to have a protest. You follow me? I hope it don't get to the point where we got to drag the city into court for discrimination against us, because they never thought we would finish, and we done. You know what I'm saying? And I got to thank y'all for that, because y'all helped me get the word out. You know what I mean? So we there. And so God willing, I believe if they don't take forever to inspect the building, hoping we get these floors done quickly, we should be able to have our inspection before the end of the summer.
Are you concerned that some of these Negroes, because that's been the only thing they can come at you with, Dr. Umar.
Yeah,
Dr. Umar don't got the school. Dr. Umar got the school.
Yeah.
Now that the school is here, the school is almost done, do you think that some of these Negroes are going to be protesting the most?
Yes, because they're not going to stop. Now that I'm open, they got to move the goalposts, right?
That's right.
Now it's how many kids, what is he teaching, how many, they're never going to stop, because the motivation is slander. See, in the beginning, I thought the motivation was truth. I thought people who questioned me sincerely just wanted to know, are you scamming us? And then when I started breaking everything down and showing them how I'm not scamming them, and we ain't even spent no money because we ain't found no contractors, then I realized this ain't about the truth. This is about slander. Y'all just want to be entertained at my expense. And so people say, well, why haven't you been more transparent? I've been too transparent. Every time I come up, I tell you where we at, what problems we got, you know what I mean, how much more money we need, this is what we going through. In fact, I think I've been too transparent. When we open up the next school, I'm not going to be that transparent. Y'all see it when it opens, no matter how long it takes. But I felt the need to be transparent because I didn't want to lose my loyal supporters. Because remember, most of our FDMG donors, they are repeat donors. Very few people have only donated one time. These people who are questioning me, they've never donated at all, ain't got children going to the school, don't live nowhere near Wilmington, Delaware. You understand me? So they're just doing this for kicks and giggles. Right. The YouTubian struggle streamers. They will slander my project. These YouTubian struggle streamers, that's what they are. YouTubian struggle streamers. They will slander my project to get an extra 100 views. Yeah. Literally, you go to their page. You did all that for 100 views, you thirsty struggle streamer. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, don't even feed them. Stay focused on the work.
I was going to ask you, what were your thoughts on Diddy and everything that's going on with Diddy? We know what he did was horrific.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts on everything that's happening with Diddy?
Yes, sir.
That's all you said. If Kathy was dark skinned, it wouldn't even have been
I believe that. Absolutely horrific, indefensible. But the response from the black community, Envy and Charlamagne, I believe is somewhat hypocritical. And the reason I say that is 40% of domestic abuse victims are black women. Black women are being beat on by on a regular basis. The femicide rate for black women is going through the roof. A black woman is 3 times as likely as any other woman to be murdered by her lover. Black or white. Y'all saw what happened with the sister in Milwaukee. 19-year-old black sister, about a month or two ago, went on a date with a 33-year-old Caucasian man. He killed her, dismembered her, spread her body all over the city. This is recent. And then you had a little 17-year-old sister down in Cape Coral, Florida. She walking back from the movies with her 2 friends, and a white boy just pulled over, gets out the car, and murders her in broad daylight. And I ain't got to show you all the murders of black men, what we're doing to our own women. I just saw one the other day where a brother killed his children, killed the woman, killed himself. Those are not typically black crimes. We don't normally do that kind of stuff. We don't crash out like that, but we are now, because the spiritual foundation of African people and the emotional wellness of African people is beginning to erode, because we have bought into the ideology of material consumption that American capitalism has pushed on us. And we believe being happy and being whole and being psychologically healthy means owning and earning. So we equate health, psychological health, which how much do I make and how much do I earn and how much do I own? And that is not the foundation upon which African spirituality rests. We are a people where relationships are the most important thing to African people. Relationships, not what you earn, what you drive, and what you wear. But we bought into that, and as a result of that, we are suffering from a spiritual famine. We are a spiritually infamished people, and we're not recognizing it. And this is why rich blacks, as well as poor blacks, are equally likely to commit suicide or crash out on somebody else and take their life. So my thing is, when are we going to get back to valuing relationships and people more than the things that we own? That is a very big problem with us.
So back to Diddy. So what's your thoughts?
Back to Diddy. It's hypocritical, Envy, because when I look at the amount of black women who are abused in the community, and I look at the amount of black people who turn the other cheek to this. Being a therapist, I see these things. Black women being abused in the church. They're being abused in the temple. They're being abused in the masjid. They're being abused in the college. Teenage girls are being abused in their homes by their boyfriends. So I see all these black people snapping out on Diddy, as they should. He was wrong. But you didn't snap out on your son when he smacked his girlfriend up in front of your face. You didn't snap out on your brother when he choked out his fiance. You didn't even you didn't snap out on your husband when he snapped out on you. So Diddy can be exposed and humiliated and shamed and embarrassed, but not the men in your life. When your son beats on his wife, when your uncle, when your cousin, when your frat brother, when your pastor is guilty of doing the same thing Diddy did, it gets a pass. But when Diddy does it, he has to be exposed. I don't like the double standard that we have. I don't like this hypocritical outrage at Diddy, but we don't see the same thing in the black community. For example, how many domestic abuse shelters have we opened since the Cassie Diddy film came out? If we're that outrage, all these single black women being abused with children, right? How many celebrities or regular black people have opened up domestic abuse shelters? How much money has Black America donated to the fight against domestic abuse in our community? Go to the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church admit to at least 10,000 incidents of sex abuse against children involving over 4,300 pastors or priests since 1950. From 1950 to 2022, between 10 and 11,000 incidents of child sex abuse, 4,300 priests. Can I ask you a question? If what Diddy did is so bad, why do we still have 3 million African-American Roman Catholics? If we are against abuse, help me understand how this is wrong, but molesting our kids are not.
I tend to see people care more about issues when celebrities are attached. And it makes me feel like they don't even care about the issue. They just care about slandering the celebrity.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And to your point that you raised earlier, if that was Lizzo and not Cassie, are we having this conversation? If that was Lizzo, if that was a full-figured chocolate African queen, does it even make the media? And then the other thing, fellas,
if it's Lizzo, yes, because she's a celebrity.
Got you, but if it's just a regular full-figured chocolate sister, right? And I do believe Cassie's complexion plays a role in this, because we do have a light skin supremacy issue in the black community. We also got dark supremacy issues as well. But if she's not a mixed race light skinned sister and not a celebrity, this ain't no issue. This ain't no issue. You know, because even in religion, I've seen pastors and imams condone violence against women. You know what I mean? You know, so I think the black community got to stop being hypocritical. If we're really against domestic violence, let's do something against it. Because I rarely hear celebrities, I rarely hear civil rights leaders, I rarely hear business leaders talk up and out against the domestic abuse of black women. And when black women get domestically abused, it's twice as bad. You know why? Because one, they're being psychologically harmed, right? And then number two, they can't go to the police because they're going to be treated like an animal. This is what y'all people do. They can't go to the domestic abuse shelters because white people are going to look at them like they less than trash. So the black woman suffers in silence. And on top of that, what? In most states, domestic abuse is a felony. I can't afford to send my children's father to jail. And then when they say, why daddy ain't here? because I turned them in. So it's very complicated when you're dealing with black women and domestic abuse. And then add to that, Envy and Charlamagne, the fact that most black women don't have a strong social network. They don't have sisters that they can rely on because those sisters are so insecure about their relationship with their man that you can't come take the spare room in my house. You can't come take the basement. You can't come take the Airbnb because my husband might start developing eyes for you. So you got to stay in that house and keep getting your head beaten by that man, even though I'm claiming to be a born-again Christian, even though I'm claiming to be the most devout Muslim of all time, even though I'm claiming to be the top Hebrew in my community. I'm going to let your husband keep banging your head in because I'm not going to risk my husband sniffing for your cookies.
Damn. What are your thoughts? I got so much stuff I want to ask you. What are your thoughts on the WNBA? In particular, the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese battle for
Here's the thing. My thoughts on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. First of all, much respect to Caitlin Clark because to her credit, I don't feel she came into the WNBA acting like she was the savior. I did not get that from her.
No, me neither.
I got from the white power structure, the Snow Bunny Mafia of the WNBA, that they tried to make her the face of the league before she proved herself. And in doing that, they're overlooking black female athletes who are much better than Caitlin Clark. You got Asia Wilson for the Los Angeles Aces. This is the first woman in WNBA history to score 35 points, grab 10 rebounds, and get 5 steals.
South Carolina's own, baby.
You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, how do you jump to Caitlin Clark and overlook Asia Wilson, a 2-time WNBA MVP? The Aces, they just won their last 2 championships. They sell out almost every other game, but the entire media's attention is on Caitlin Clark.
Prodigy of Dawn Staley.
Prodigy of North Philly's Dawn Staley,
That's
absolutely, 22nd and Diamond, right? So when I look at, even when we go back to the Lady Gamecocks, they won the championship and all the attention went to Caitlin Clark. They had a near perfect season, only lost 3 games in 3 years. Caitlin Clark gets all the attention.
They were undefeated last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they was undefeated last year.
Right.
Since when have you seen the losing team get more attention than the winning team? And then Gayle King, Oprah's sidekick, she gets on the interview with Dawn Staley and says, what were you thinking? Because we were all rooting for Caitlin Clark in Iowa. Iowa got what? Less than 2% black students? Who was voting for Iowa? Who was rooting for Caitlin Clark? We wasn't wishing her no harm, but we was rooting for Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecock. The reason I started watching NCAA basketball again, because I had a long hiatus, is because of Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks. Not because of Caitlin Clark and not because of nobody else. So I felt like Dawn Staley and the Lady Gamecocks were shamed. Because they didn't bow down to Caitlin Clark and give her the white privilege. The year before, when they beat the Lady Gamecocks en route to losing to Angel Reese and LSU, anybody who saw the game, so the referees gave it to them. They ripped them off. But, of course, Dawn Staley couldn't say that, right? Because they should be accused of playing a race card. But if you saw the game, they got cheated. So they did everything they could to make Caitlin Clark the great white savior. She's not there yet. I think she's going to be a great player, right? I think she's going to have a tremendous legacy, but she's not a top 10 player in the league. Now you take to look at Angel Reese. She's the first player in WNBA history to get 13 straight double-doubles. Right. Not rookie, period. Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting when it comes down to the rookie of the year because you know they want to give it to Caitlin. That's that Snow Bunny privilege. But look at what Angel Reese is doing. I could probably settle for a co-rookie like they did with Jason Kidd and Grant Hill. I could settle for a co-rookie, but you're not going to give it to Caitlin Clark and try to X out Angel Reese. And I hate the fact that they tried to make Angel Reese the bad guy, and I hate the fact that so many of our brothers in the sports world kind of parroted the narrative of the WNBA and charged the black women of the WNBA with being jealous of Caitlin Clark. Y'all jealous of all these attention. And then you had other brothers who say, well, she's the reason y'all got flights now. She's the reason this. How is she the reason when Asia Wilson was doing what she was doing before she got there, and there's other women who was doing what she was doing before she got there? Nobody's jealous of Caitlin Clark. They're angry at the racism and the double standard that they are witnessing. You can't expect black women of the WNBA with all the hell that they catch to sit there and watch someone who is not as good as they are be elevated to a level that they were never put at. It's not fair. It's not jealousy. It's an anger because even at this level of society and professionalism and athletics, I still have to play second fiddle to the white girl even when she's not good enough.
I haven't seen you hand out lashes in a minute, Dr. Umar.
I'm going to have to start giving some out, though.
What's your thoughts on Stephen A. Smith?
I was talking to somebody the other day. I didn't see what did Stephen A. say about OJ? Something about OJ Simpson?
He was upset, I believe, that BET,
that BET honored him.
Honored him.
Yes.
Okay.
Had him in the in memoriam package.
Yeah.
My view on my brother Stephen A. Smith, I vacillate. Because 1 minute, he'll say something that I say, good. Like when they gave Steve Nash the Brooklyn Nets coaching job. And he said, no black man gets that job with no experience. And you're going to coach KD, Kyrie, and James Harden? No black man gets that. Good job, Stephen A. And then he'll go right back and do something coonish like this. If BET wants to honor OJ, let them honor OJ. White people honor white people who are guilty of things, right? And let us be clear, did not OJ get acquitted?
He was found innocent.
He was found innocent. So Stephen A., if OJ Simpson was found innocent for the murder of Anna Nicole Smith, I believe the name was. What was the name?
Murphy,
Nicole Smith.
Nicole Brown.
Nicole Brown. Smith, yeah,
right. Forgive me for getting the name wrong.
Yeah.
But if he was found innocent in a court of law, how can you come back, Stephen A. Smith, 30, 40 years later and say BET was wrong for honoring the man when he was found innocent in court? So you're parroting a white supremacist narrative. I need Stephen A. to pick a side and stay on it because he floats back and forth. Now, to his credit, at least he does float. Some of them don't even float. They go hard on the white supremacist narrative and stay there. Stephen A. go back and forth. I need him to pick a side because every time I'm proud of him, like Stephen A. did a good job today breaking this down from a racial standpoint, he'll go right back to cooning. So I just need him to pick a side and stay on it because I don't know where he stands.
But God bless the dead. But some people would say, well, now, Dr. Umar, you defending the bunny hopper and OJ.
Great question. I'm not defending the bunny hopping aspect of OJ. I'm defending the fact that OJ Simpson is a black man. And when I'm dealing with issues of black men or black people, what they do to one of us, they can do to any of us. And that's why when I look at Jonathan Major's situation, if you would, he had no business bunny hopping. But does that mean his career should have been destroyed over that incident?
Absolutely
Because
not.
she had a cut on the finger and a cut behind the ear or something like that. So he gets his whole career destroyed, even though we saw on TV he ran from the white girl, ran from the white girl. And I don't know if you saw what his lawyer said. Jonathan Major's lawyer said he got convicted, not necessarily, and I'm paraphrasing, not necessarily because he abused her, but in defending himself from her abuse, he was too aggressive. What the hell is that? And they found that she was guilty of abuse, but the prosecutor said they didn't have enough information to charge her. Look at that. So she walks and he gets his career destroyed. That's a damn shame. Even though he's guilty of bunny hopping, I don't want to see that happen to any black man because that could happen to me under other situations or circumstances that don't involve a white woman. So even if he's a bunny hopper, I still got to separate that out and look at how the impact of this case can affect all black men.
That's right.
Got you. Now,
What are your thoughts about the power that LeBron has in the Lakers organization? Because you brought up Steve Nash and how he had no experience.
Right.
So when you see LeBron, he gets his son drafted and the hiring of J.J. Redick, who's never coached anywhere.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm disappointed in black America because I feel like they're attacking Bronny more than J.J. Redick.
I agree with you 100%.
How the hell is Bronny James getting all this heat from black America, but J.J. Redick ain't getting all this heat? J.J. Redick ain't never won nothing. He ain't win nothing in college. He ain't win nothing in the NBA. He wasn't no MVP. I don't know if he was ever first team offense or defense, maybe once or twice, but he clearly don't have the record of a Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell should have been offered that Lakers job, and if not the Lakers job, one of the coaching vacancies. Look at all these good black assistant coaches out there who are being overlooked for white privilege. J.J. Redick did not earn that position. They gave it to him. But rather than attack that, we're going to attack the 19-year-old kid. I want LeBron to play with his son because the optics of that, I think, will be very positive for young black males. And I think it could be a small motivation for black men to do more with their sons and more with our boys. So I want to see LeBron and Bronny on the same court with one disclaimer: if I don't catch Bronny James bunny hopping no damn more. Because if he bunny hopping, I'm not supporting him. Bronny James, I love you, young man, but if I catch you bunny hopping, I'm done with you. You're not going to be a role model bunny hopping. But outside of that, I want to see LeBron and his son, right? You want to see that. That's a good thing. LeBron done so much for basketball and the league. He's not the GOAT. That's Kobe and Mike. But he done so much for basketball and the league. He deserved that. Why hate on that? And that's that black male jealousy. A big problem we have as black men is we don't like to see each other win. And the reason why we don't like to see each other win is because we operate in that European psychological mode of domination and control over everything. See, when I see y'all, I see I and I. My Rastafari brothers who I'll be with possibly for Garvey Day in Jamaica next month, they say I and I. I and I means that when I speak, I'm speaking as you and I. When you speak, you speaking as me and you. When you hurt, I hurt. When you struggling, I'm struggling. I and I. It is oneness. But we got so much competition amongst us as black men that when we see one win, we don't think nobody else can. And you know where that comes from? The plantation. Back on the slave plantation with the manumission laws, the slave master could only free a couple slaves a year. So if you got a plantation of 500, all of us want to be free, but only one can. Do you know what that automatically does? Damn. That sets us up as rivals. Damn. That sets us up as competitors. And that mindset of believing that only one black person can make it at a time is the reason why you get so much hate. It's the reason why you get so much hate. It's the reason why I get so much hate. Because we have been conditioned to believe that if DJ Envy is winning on the Breakfast Club, I can't win somewhere else. If Charlamagne is winning on the Breakfast Club, I can't win somewhere else. If Dr. Umar opened up his own school in Delaware, I can open up one somewhere else. There's enough room for all of us to win. So why do we get so jealous? Because we've been conditioned to think that the minute we get one winner, everybody else got to lose. And that's what breeds the envy and the hate and the competition. We are not Caucasians. We are not Europeans. That's the way we are. United we stand, divided we fall. It's all about I and I, not me and you. Black men got to get back to oneness.
I want to say something. Hold on, because you said something about Bronny that was interesting. You said Bronny, I can't remember how you worded it just now. You said you can't be a hero if he's bunny hopping.
You can't be a hero if you're bunny hopping.
But Kobe, God bless the dead.
Right.
MJ, who you both named.
No, I didn't call them role models.
Okay.
I called them the GOATs of basketball.
Okay.
I can't, and Kobe is my personal GOAT. I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Okay.
I can't hang his picture up in the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy.
Damn.
Because you bunny hopped. I think Eddie Murphy, I'm going to say he's a close second to Richard Pryor, but Eddie's so talented, he may have trumped Richard. But guess what? Eddie and Richard are both bunny hoppers.
Eddie got black baby mamas too, though.
I know, but his wife is.
I don't know.
I think she's Caucasian.
I don't even know if he's married. Is he married? I don't know.
Well, that last one he was with, she was, you see, Dave Chappelle. I love him for his humor. Dave Chappelle ain't married to a black woman. His picture can't go up in my school. I love him. I like him, but I can't hold you up as a role model because in order for you to complete that role model process, your queen got to look like your mother. You see what I'm saying? And so I can't hold them up. I can respect them. I can like them, but role model, meaning black men is to come in your image, in your stead, in your path. I can't do that. And that's why I'm hoping Bronny James does a bunny hop because he's going to get a lot of his father's cachet. Until LeBron's credit, he married Savannah, a beautiful African queen. I need Bronny to do the same thing. And if I could talk to LeBron and Savannah, I want to know why he took a snow bunny to the prom. I guess because LeBron took a snow bunny to the prom. But I need LeBron and Savannah to work that out because I love y'all as a great black family.
No, LeBron took Savannah to the prom. They've been together since high school.
Why did somebody send me a picture of LeBron with a white girl? This was the other day. They said he took a white girl to the prom.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he took Savannah to the prom. I don't know.
Well, maybe he went on a white girl's prom. Maybe he took Savannah. Maybe he went on a white girl's prom. But somebody said he took a white girl to the prom. So I got to investigate that. But yeah, no bunny hopping. Dang. Black queens forever. Snow bunnies never.
And yeah, they said they just sent me on a text. They said Eddie Murphy is not married, it's just his girlfriend.
Okay.
Now let me ask you.
What is she?
She's Caucasian.
See?
She's Caucasian. Eminem.
Yes.
Can't be the GOAT because he's white, is what you said.
Eminem cannot be the GOAT because he's white. First of all, my perspective on this issue is not about Eminem. I got to make this clear. It could be anybody. You follow what I'm saying? You could put Macklemore in the conversation or MC Search. No Caucasian, Arab, East Indian, European, Jew, Latino, no non-African can be the best of anything that is African because that is our culture and you never relinquish control over your culture. So he could be a great lyricist. If they were to say he's one of the best lyricists of all time, they can say that if they want, but you ain't no GOAT. You don't put a white person over something that we created that has roots going all the way back to ancient Kemet, and you're going to give that over to a Caucasian. That's not fair. You do not do that. There's too many black MCs who are better than Eminem lyrically, who, if you're going to go GOAT status, you need to consider. But Eminem, and a lot of them who are saying this are only saying this because they're hoping Eminem throw them some money, throw them a cameo. I don't think they're really speaking out of their truth. I think they're speaking out of their desperation to get put on by Eminem. But I was very disappointed in seeing all these black males come out against me in defense of Eminem. I think they all went to law school overnight and got a law degree because they put on some of the best soliloquies I've ever seen. And I ain't going to call their names, but I'm disappointed in them because some of them I like. They're my favorite artists, right? And I'm like, come on, bro. You don't feel the need to protect your culture from nobody. And I'm seeing them defend Eminem without his request, without a requirement, without being paid. And you know what bothered me? I've never seen none of them rappers who defended Eminem against me. I've never seen them defend black women like that in public. I've never seen them speak out against domestic violence like that. I've never seen them speak out against disrespect towards black women in public. So you will go to war for a white man. Here we go. White Jesus syndrome again. I got to defend my savior. You'll go to war for Eminem. You'll go to war for Caitlin Clark. You'll go to war for J.J. Redick. And you'll never lift your voice up to protect a black woman in public.
Kendrick Lamar versus Drake.
Here's my issue with Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. First of all, shout out to Kendrick. I think he's one of the more socially progressive rappers.
Absolutely.
I don't see him worshiping materialism like so many of the rest of them do. I like Kendrick. And when he brought those brothers together to celebrate without any violence, the whole community loving it, I thought it was beautiful. Shout out to Kendrick. But Kendrick, I need you to keep that same energy when it's time to fight against gentrification in Los Angeles, because black people are being displaced in extreme numbers in Los Angeles, Compton, South Central, Long Beach, all in that area. So don't just bring out people together to party and to support your beef with Drake. Bring them together to protest, to march, and to organize against gentrification, because there is a Mexican bourgeoisie, white bourgeoisie clique in LA that is working together against black people. I'm going to say it, the Mexicans and the Caucasians, not as a group, but their elites and their leaders are clicking up and working against black people in Los Angeles County and surrounding areas to push us out the neighborhood. Black incarceration rates in California are some of the highest in the country. Kendrick Lamar, why don't we organize against that? We see, organize to hire some of our young people, organize to build a school, organize to build a hospital. I like what he did, but don't tell me you only did that to celebrate the beef. You understand? Use those brothers, bring them back together and achieve something systematically to help our people out. Same thing go for Drake. You in Canada. Black people in Canada struggling. I got a lot of supporters in Canada. We talk all the time. I'll be going to Canada next month, or maybe 3 months from now. But nonetheless, they're catching the same hell: miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, economic apartheid. Drake, are you thinking about building a school? Drake, are you going to open up a supermarket? Drake, are you going to open up a farm and teach these young kids how to farm? Same thing for Kendrick Lamar. Y'all got the money to do it. I'm not pocket watching. But don't bring those people together just to party. You got to bring us together to do something, because what you're doing is you're playing on people's emotions. Black people see Crips and Bloods coming together. Shout out to both of them. Piecing it up, working together, enjoying themselves with Kendrick. That was good. We need the social. We need a break. We need a release. But brother, we also need political progress. We also need economic structure. We also need social progress. So don't just limit it to that. Take it to the next level. And I do got to say this on that note of the whole Eminem being the GOAT. You got to have boundaries around your culture. When I saw Rick Ross got swung on by that Caucasian, that bothered me, because here you have a black artist being swung on by a Caucasian who I also believe was an artist, but it was over the Drake beef. We have allowed non-Africans to get so comfortable in our culture that they would step to an artist and swing on them in the name of a beef that is all black, that ain't got nothing to do with them, and feel completely comfortable swinging on a black artist. That should not be acceptable.
Well, not all black.
Say that again.
Not all black.
What do you mean?
Because Drake is not all black. He's half black.
Well, there's really no such thing as half.
Okay.
He's a black man with a white mother. But to what I understand, well, and I guess this is controversial, because I believe Drake always identified as black. That's what I saw. I don't follow him heavy, but that's what I saw. I'm hearing people say he didn't necessarily always.
Saying it was cosplay. It was cosplay.
What you mean?
Meaning that he was pretending to imitate black American culture in order to Drake was.
I saw that. Now, when was that in his life? It's not acceptable, but was that recent? Was he a kid?
I think more so when he became a rapper, as you've seen him evolve. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because, remember originally they had the video where he had the bar mitzvah in the video.
Okay.
He was just a cool Jewish kid. But over
the
years,
but he was always black.
Over the years, you did see him evolve into
black.
He was always okay. So
I don't know if he ever claimed to be black American though. I never heard that from Drake.
Okay,
I mean, you can't be black American.
So we don't know
have a
if
black
he ever
identity.
said I'm mixed race. I'm not black. I'm mixed race.
I've never heard Drake.
He's always claimed his Jewishness. Always.
Yes. He's always claimed. Yeah, he's always claimed that. Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so he's always been unapologetic about the Jewishness.
Absolutely.
Correct.
But not necessarily unapologetic about being black.
I haven't heard that.
But then he needs to clarify that. I would need Drake to clarify that for me.
I think it's been both.
You think?
I think he's been black, but he's also said that he's Jewish.
I don't have a problem with him saying that because he don't have to renounce his mother to be a black man. You follow what I'm saying? But I need him to be unapologetic about his blackness. And if he's more unapologetic about being Jewish than he is about being African, then I can't consider him one of us. He got to clarify that for me, right? I'm working from the assumption that he's made it clear that I'm black and I know that's who I am. And if he ain't made that clear, then I need some answers from Drake, which means Kendrick is justified in his criticism, not like us.
He told Kendrick, he said, yo, you always rapping like you want to set the slaves free. What's wrong with that?
Drake said that?
Yes, in one of the diss records.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He said,
Drake. Oh, no.
He said you rap like you want to set the slaves free. That's why Kendrick said on his record, once upon a time, we all was in chains.
Yes, sir.
The homie still doubled down calling us some slaves.
Yes, sir.
That's why he said that in response to what Drake said.
I didn't know Drake. Oh, man, Drizzy.
Lashes are coming back. Here come the lashes.
Drizzy. Oh, no. Okay. I got to table this one. I got some research to do. Drake, hit me up. If this is wrong, I need clarity, my brother. I need clarity. Now I understand where Kendrick came from. But my thing again with Kendrick, love him, like him, take this to another level. You have that type of influence amongst our people where you can bring opposing parties together, have fun and enjoy themselves. Let's build something with that energy.
I like that.
We can't stop with partying. We have to procreate.
Another thing Kendrick said, he said he didn't want to hear Drake say the word nigga no more. And you were on Lil Yachty's A Safe Place podcast, and you said that the use of the N-word should be outlawed because of PTSD, post-traumatic slavery disease. Michael Jamal Warner was up here. He feels the same way. So,
nobody should be using it because when I call you an N-I-double-G-A, you never met me before. And Charlamagne said, here come mine, or Envy said, here come mine. Are you expecting to see a lawyer, a doctor, a business owner? When you get the prefix N-I-W-G-A, or are you expecting anything positive to walk through that door?
No.
No. You see, so the word does not have a positive connotation. And here's the bigger question. Why are we trying to rescue the most racially offensive and derogatory term ever used in the history of mankind? You don't see European Jews trying to rescue the pejorative terms used against them. You don't see Latinos doing that. You don't see Asians. Show me another people who are fighting for the right to use the most dehumanizing label in history to refer to each other in a social space. It speaks to the self-hate. It speaks to the fact that we do feel inferior to other people. Because if I didn't feel inferior, there's no way in hell I would fight for the right for Envy to call me that.
Damn. I got a few more questions. Philadelphia, well, just in general, what do you think about school choice? Because we saw what happened in Pennsylvania recently where everybody got upset with Jay-Z because Jay-Z decided, him and Rock Nation decided to be a benefactor to this school choice
Did he
program.
change direction? Because I don't think he really knew. He's not an educator. So I think Sean Carter thought he was doing something positive.
Yes.
Did he change direction or did he say, I'm staying with this initiative?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm wondering if he should change direction.
Okay.
Mr. Carter, remember we met back in 1997, Priscilla Gymnasium, Millersville University. That was me, Hove. Anyway, we brought him to the Spring Fling concert, him and KRS-One back when I was BSU president. Anyhow, I do not support school choice. I'm going to tell you why. DJ Envy and Charlamagne are millionaires. Dr. Umar is not. DJ and Envy hypothetically got multiple children. So if school choice is going to give them $10,000 per child, you good with that. You know why? You can pay the other $30,000 for your 4 children's private school tuition. I can't. I'm a working class brother raising 4 kids on my own. If New York City public schools give me 10 grand, or Philadelphia public schools give me 10 grand, or Newark, New Jersey public schools give me 10 grand, I still got to come up with the other 30. I still got to come up with the other 20. My point is school choice only benefits middle and upper middle class black families. Most of our kids are raised by who? They mother. 67%. 50% of all homeless families are black women and their children. 50%, which is why I got to get on Eric Adams and Brandon when we get to the migrant crisis. But my point is this. How does school choice benefit poor parents? How does it benefit working class parents? I'm barely paying my mortgage. And you see the price of everything has went up. Everything. Food, utilities, gas, rent. How am I going to pay all these bills as a single black mother raising 67% of our kids and still find money to offset the cost of tuition. It's not realistic. School choice is a scam. It makes poor people think that we're going to give you an opportunity to send your child to a better school, although we know you can't pay the balance. It's a scam. I do not support school choice.
So you don't think?
I got another thing. Don't forget about black boys. DJ Envy, hypothetically, DJ Envy's son is a problem child. Charlamagne's daughter is a problem child. Even though y'all can afford the tuition, you got a problem. You know why? Because the Catholic school can accept who they want. The private school can accept who they want. When they see all them pink slips in your son's record, when they see all those pink slips in your daughter's record, even though y'all can afford it, even though y'all celebrities, they're going to say, get out of here. And there's nothing you can do because they independent or they parochial. They can operate like that. Public schools got to take everybody, not the independent schools. So here's my question. Where are all the black kids nobody want going to go once New York City becomes a complete school choice district? You see that? We're shutting down public schools, find a private or find a private or parochial school, here go $10K, but nobody wants your son. Where he going to go? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're basically going to create a massive black male high school dropout epidemic. It's not like we don't have one, but it's going to be mushroomed because nobody has to take your child. So all these ADHD boys, EDD, oppositional, intermittent explosive, Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Cyclerc, Meditate, who want them? Because remember, the private schools don't have to have special ed. Catholic schools don't have to have special ed. They ain't got no special class for that emotionally disturbed boy. Who gonna take them? Nobody. It's the quickest way to destroy the futures of black boys. I do not support school choice. It's a Republican scam.
Now let's go to the migrant issue.
Yes, sir.
Which everybody wants to label. Whenever you talk about what the black activists in Chicago are going through, or whenever you talk about what black people here in New York are complaining about, they'll say, that's MAGA messaging. How is it MAGA messaging?
It's not MAGA messaging. Listen, the bottom line is when Joe Biden got elected, he said he wanted to fast track 4 million undocumented residents to full citizenship. Black people completely ignored it. I spoke on it. I said, do you know why he want to fast track 4 million? Because he know he's not going to do nothing for us. We ain't going to be motivated to vote for him November. So what he's going to do is have these migrants already set up with citizenship so they can replace the black vote that he loses. The migrants are being put in our communities on purpose, New York and Chicago on purpose, because they are what? The two blackest cities in America. They're the two largest cities in America. They're the two most politically conscious black communities in America. So if we can wash out the black with the brown in New York, if we can wash out the black with the brown in Chicago, Philly don't stand a chance. Atlanta don't stand a chance. LA, Houston, Dallas, Detroit, Chicago don't stand a chance. The migrants are here for 3 reasons. Replace us at the polls, replace us at the low-end industry jobs, right? See, when Donald Trump said during the debate that Joe Biden is taking black jobs and giving them to migrants, he was correct. Although he didn't say it because he cared about us, but he's right. When people say, what do you mean by black jobs? Get out your bougie feelings and deal with the reality. 1/3 of black men have a felony. So there's a lot of jobs they will never qualify for. They are mostly what? Essential workers, warehouse, trucking, security. And a lot of those jobs are going to who? The migrants. So that's what he meant by black jobs. We got to stop being so sensitive and look at the reality of it. I was reading a report the other day. They said the Latinos taking over the construction jobs. They taking them over. And the low industry work, like your gardening, your landscaping, completely taking it over. They're not the enemy. The problem is black people don't get as much opportunity. So then people say, well, white people don't really like brown people like that. That's true. But you know what the difference is? They don't have the burden of accountability with them that they have with us. We built the country. So every time they look at us or deal with us, the bottom line is y'all brought them here and they built y'all into what y'all are. They don't have to say that to the Venezuelans. They don't have to say that to the Colombians. They don't have to say that to the Mexicans. So although they don't like brown, they would much rather deal with them than the black, because with the black, there is a white man's burden that you owe them restitution for 246 years of unpaid labor. Now let's look at what Eric Adams is doing over there in New York. A family of 4 is getting $1,400 a month. $1,400 a month. Do you know that that's more than what some of the veterans are getting with a child? They're getting more money than veterans who served in the military. Damn. Not only that, they're getting free food stamps, free child care, and permanent housing. Although New York City has a black homelessness rate no less than 35%. So you got black people who pay taxes living on the street, and you got migrants who ain't paid a single tax in their life eating and living better than the black people who built the country. If I was talking to Eric Adams and Brandon Johnson of Chicago, I would ask them something. What is the Democratic Party giving you guys that you're willing to sacrifice your political future to push this migrant agenda? Because I don't see how they get reelected by black folks. I don't see how. And if your city goes to the migrants, you can best believe the migrants ain't electing no black person to mayorship. So you're literally dying on your sword for the Democratic Party. Do you know that New York City has spent $1.5 billion on the migrant crisis so far? It's projected that this year, 2023 was $1.5 billion to take care of the migrants. $1.5 billion. 2024 and 2025, they said it will cost New York City $9 billion. Chicago has spent about $350 million this year on the migrant crisis, and that's expected to quadruple. And you know what was so disrespectful about Chicago with regard to Brandon Johnson? Remember all them schools they shut down in Chicago because they said they couldn't afford to operate them? Mm-hmm. They opened them up. Not only did they open them up, they renovated them. Turned them into apartments for migrants, so you sleep upstairs, go to school downstairs. How is it that you ain't got money for jobs for black people, which is a big reason why you got so much crime? You got all these homeless black people in Chicago, but you can take care of the migrants before you take care of black people. And that's why I'm hoping that Black Chicago organizes, just like co-founder of the Black Panther Party, Bobby Seale did at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Bobby Seale turned up and turned it out with the Black Panthers. I hope Chicago doesn't let President Biden and Vice President Harris come there, because you know the Democratic National Convention is in Chicago, right? August 19th through August the 21st. I hope Black Chicago don't let the Democrats come to your city where they have bred this migrant crisis and y'all don't do nothing about it. And I'm going to tell you who else needs to stand up and show out. Milwaukee. Even though they don't have a migrant crisis like Chicago and New York, the Republican convention is in Milwaukee next Monday, this coming Monday. And guess what? Milwaukee, black people are the largest ethnic group. Unlike Chicago, it's white, Hispanic, black. Milwaukee is black, white, Hispanic. But guess what? Milwaukee has one of the worst black male graduation rates in America. So I'm hoping that black Wisconsin goes to that Republican National Convention and exercise their First Amendment rights to peacefully assemble and protest. But don't let them come to your city after causing all these problems and let them leave without them hearing from you. They are replacing us. America, if they can do it, they're going to purge black people with brown. Why do you think the New York regents, did you see that they said they're going to stop requiring the regents examination to get your high school diploma in New York? Is it that convenient? All of a sudden, we get a migrant crisis in New York, and now you don't have to pass the regents no more. You know why? Because we got to make sure the migrants take all the jobs from black folks. They're already taking over the social services. They dominated the social services. If you black and hungry and need some food, too late. The migrants got it. Same thing in Chicago. You black and hungry, need some food, need a job, the migrants got it. I'm trying to understand how Eric Adams and Brandon Johnson can hand out all these work permits when you got all these unemployed black men. Half of black men in New York unemployed. Half of black men in Chicago unemployed. But you got migrants getting jobs. You're holding job fairs for migrants. You're giving out job passes for migrants. And you know, because of the election fraud, if you got a work permit, it ain't that hard to get a voting registration permit. But I got a question for Eric Adams. Did y'all see he said that he was thinking about staffing the pools during the summer with migrants because they're good swimmers? Right. 40% of black teens, 15 to 24, that age group, are unemployed in New York. Mayor Eric Adams, how you going to give the lifeguard jobs to the migrants when half your black kids ain't got no job? Don't you think you should start with the children of the black people who pay taxes? I really don't understand them too. I do kind of feel sorry for them.
Maybe I don't feel like black people can't swim. He's buying into that stereotype.
Put some money out there. We're going to swim.
We'll learn.
But my thing is, I know they know what they're doing isn't good for their political future. The only thing I can think of is they're too afraid to tell the Democratic National Machine that I'm not going to go along with this because, you know, they can destroy them. I really think they're being forced to sacrifice their career in order to purge their own people from the two largest cities.
Now, if people do want to help and donate for your school, of course, can you give them the information where they can donate?
Absolutely. Also, I just started a new mailing list. So I want all the viewers, supporters to go to any of my social media pages. You could go to drumarjohnson.com, but you can go to Twitter and Instagram at Dr. Umar Johnson, Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, and TikTok, Prince of Pan-Africanism. Click on the bio, click on my link tree, and subscribe to the mailing list. I'm going to start sending out once a month updates because not everybody on social media. Then I get suspended for whatever reasons, ever so occasionally, from going live. So this way I can stay in touch with them. One of the things I'm going to be doing before the election is I'm going to put together the Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement. I want to bring all young black voters under the age of 30 together, try to get a couple million of us, enough to make some noise, and we're going to demand a meeting with both nominees from both major parties. All right, we're going to sit down with Trump, sit down with Biden. If you don't come and have a conversation with us, we're not giving anybody our vote. The black vote only matters if it gets organized. If anybody needs to reach me, consultation with your children, mental health evaluation review, you can text me direct. The number been public for 19 years, 215-989-9858. That's 215-989-9858. 9858. This Sunday coming, Sunday, July 14th, I believe it is.
14th, yep.
Okay. From 10 to 6, there's a free black book giveaway. Bring your children. They're giving out free books for children. Source of Knowledge Bookstore, 867 Broad Street, Newark, New Jersey. Source of Knowledge Bookstore, Sunday, July 14th,
yep.
10 to 6. I will be giving, it's outdoors, on the street, vendors, food, the whole thing. It's free. I will be giving a talk to parents on navigating the special education to prison pipeline, navigating the ADHD to psychiatric medication pipeline. So it's going to be a free talk. If you need help for your children, bring your psychological evaluations, bring your IEPs, bring your behavior plans. It's going to be a free review at the Source of Knowledge Bookstore in Newark this coming Sunday, 10 to 6. I speak at 2. 3 quick points for our parents. Number 1, the younger your child is, the less likely you should be getting them evaluated. The younger the child, Charlamagne, the more likely we may misdiagnose. 3 years old is too young for autism evaluation. 4 years old is too young for ADHD. 5 years old is too young for reading disability. The younger the child, the less items we can ask them anyway, because they're so young. So you don't get a good read. I need black parents to slow down, and my Afro-Latino parents, slow down. Stop getting your children evaluated so quickly. The school wants them tested quickly, Envy and Charlamagne. Why? Because special ed begins at age 3, which means they can start getting the money at age 3. Special ed is age 3 to 21. So when your child goes to preschool and they're not talking too good or not walking too good, first thing they want to do is get an eval. Slow down. Give my child a chance to show me what he can do. Because if you go looking for an evaluation, you're going to get a diagnosis, because that's how they get paid, by giving out the diagnosis. Notorious B.I.G. said what? More money, more problems. Well, in the world of mental health, more problems, more money. So slow down on the eval. Number 2, do not get your child evaluated for ADHD, conduct disorder, ODD, emotional disturbance, or intermittent explosive disorder. I'm going to say it again. If you're black, do not get your child evaluated for ADHD, conduct disorder, emotional disturbance, intermittent explosive disorder, because it only leads to what? Medication. America has no answer for a black or Afro-Latino kid diagnosed with one of them syndromes. They're going to put them on drugs. And if you decide to discontinue the medication, Child Protective Services will be called and they will confiscate your children. It's called medical neglect, and it's one of the fastest reasons black parents are losing their children to foster care. If you don't plan to drug them up, and you shouldn't want to anyway, do not get them evaluated. If you think they too hyper, go to the health store. There's all kind of herbal concoctions you can put under the tongue. There's a product called Calm Child. There's a product called Be Calm. There's a product called Melissa Supreme, where they take herbs that calm down the central nervous system. But guess what? The herbs are not even going to work if he's a regular, normal, healthy boy, and you're not giving him enough opportunity to release his natural testosterone. A big problem with all of this is boys need to move around. In fact, the research even shows boys learn better, Envy and Charlamagne, when they move. So why are they still sitting still for 8 hours when the research says, the neuroscience says boys learn better when they move? Because the teachers, the Caucasian nation, the teachers that run the school, they don't want to move them. They want to sit in that chair because it makes their job easier. So a lot of times this is not an ADHD problem. It's an ain't no daddy at home disorder problem. It's an artificial diet at home disorder problem. Okay, it is it's an attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction problem as well. That's number 2. Third, and my final one. If you don't understand the paperwork, call me. Parents are signing off on evaluations they didn't read. They signing off on diagnoses they don't agree with. If you don't think your child is retarded, why did you sign? If you don't think they need special ed, why did you sign? Stop signing paperwork you don't agree with and you don't understand. That's what Dr. Umar said. I will make time to look at your paperwork. Stop signing, because they signing our kids away into full-time special ed and they don't even realize it. And you got to go to these IEP meetings. If you're going to put your child in special ed, take care of your child. I got black parents put their kids in special ed, white ones too, but I'm talking about our community, put their kids in special ed and never go to an IEP meeting for 12 years. Now he's about to graduate, Charlamagne, guess what? He can't read. And now you're upset at the school district. He can't read. How many IEP meetings you went to since you put him in special ed? First of all, he should have never been in special ed in the first grade because he's too young for special ed. But if you're going to do it, at least look out for the child. We got to do a better job of protecting our kids from the special education to prison pipeline. Because when I go speak in these jails, and I speak regularly in the prisons, I always ask the inmates to raise your hand. How many of you was in special ed? Damn near every hand go up. Black, white, brown, yellow, and white. Every hand goes up just about. You see what I'm saying? Special ed causes more problems than it solves. Most of our kids just need a tutor. To that point, how many of our kids are reading books this summer? How many of our kids are going to the black bookstores this summer? How many of our kids are being taken to the public library this summer to read something? Most of them are not. They own this right here. This is destroying academic excellence in the black community. And for my black fathers out there, I know your son want to be a basketball player. I know you want him to be a football player. But if he can't read on grade level, what is he doing in AAU? Right. If he can't count on grade level, what is he doing in the summer league? You mean you care more about your son being a good football player, a basketball player, than a productive adult? Half the black boys in America in 4th grade can't read on their grade level. Half the black boys in America in the 8th grade can't count on their grade level. But yet we pushing football. There should be no video game in your house, no cell phone in your house, and nobody should be in no summer league if they can't read and count on grade level. We got to get back to black excellence.
There you have it.
Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar Johnson. Appreciate you for joining us, brother.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you.
And it's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
All right.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.